Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 4. We are playing the United States in this series. Let's continue. We're letting the clock go rapidly through its paces here. Okay, we've got dogfighting experience. A lot of stuff we need to research. Let's do this now because those have a long lead time in production, and the quicker we can convert over to producing a better carrier instead of the Ranger class or Yorktown class. Okay, Warplane Orange. Okay. Well, tension's not high enough, and I don't know that I'd want to do that just yet. I'd say Japan is just not doing so well, especially if see that China has a lot of Manchuria up there. No, they've just sealed that off, so that... You know what we should probably see about doing? Now, because they have ports down here and they have ports up there, and I don't know how good of... We don't want to cancel it. I want to modify it. I want to send them... Oh, I don't want to cancel. Okay, well, guess I can't modify it anymore. I want to see if I can send them transport vessels. Okay, infantry equipped. An improvement there. Well, we should also do paratroopers. And we have more civil factories. Okay, great. And we need to start thinking about German Reich declared war on Poland. Okay, so it's beginning there. Radar there. Okay, we can't build in the Philippines. I don't know if we should build too far forward because that may just give much to Japan. fortify these islands a little bit. What I don't know that that's going to help anything tactically, though I do believe it helps with port strikes. So, California. And of course it's ridiculous that the same amount of air defense to cover all of California is to cover Wake Island. So you had some of the problems with this state system. And we also need to make sure we protect down here. So, okay. That's good now that the war has started. Big full-time war. But the anti-air should help. Oh good, Essex class. I was saying with port strikes, and that can be critical. Let's get a decent tank going here. Let's see if we send some Lend-Lease here. Producing in storage. So let's send them some crappy tanks. Oh, I think that'll be it for the moment. Fall of Nanjing, okay. That's good for Japan, not good for us though. But, yeah, I guess they've gotten more territory. This is probably just a matter of time before these units die. Yeah, we knew Warsaw would go quick. Gotta convert over that. Now let's just increase once we get more factories. More support equipment. Yes, we knew they would capitulate. That's why I didn't send them any lend-lease. Let's slow this down just a little bit. Let's slow the speeds back up. Okay, advanced machine. Rolls. I think integrated support sounds better. Okay, construction. Oh no, just there we go. Get more resources. Okay. Okay, well we've got the neighbors. It means Canada and Mexico. Here we go. Some more of these have opened up now. Let's see. U.S.A. projects. Don't know what that is right offhand. I'll have to look that one up. Okay, a lot more production. Good conscription, that's good. We'll go with this. U.S.A. And let's see, we also need to... Let's finish our research. That, I would say, is the historical. U.S. armor was relatively quick and rather reliable, but not very good with armor. Thickness. Army ordnance, heavier tanks. Chrysler, reliability, but a lot more soft attack. I'm gonna go with a bit more of the German style here, I guess. Oh good, we took, or China took down the Japanese ally there. Modify, okay, we can modify it again. We could use some ground attack. Convoys. We want to give them, I want to make sure that they can do some convoys. No, let's just do one per month. I don't want to give them too much, but I want to give them something. And we're going to give them yeah. Well, United Kingdom's invaded Italy. How interesting. Not surprising. Japanese diplomats partnership, okay. Belgium joins the Allies. We declared war on Belgium, that's why they joined. Japan joins the Axis. Paratroopers, great. Now, let's see, we're into December 1940. The Dauntless, let's research that. Limited intervention, that's good. And Hmm. The Netherlands has capitulated. Okay, well. Let's build a couple more civil factories here. Now let's see who we can trade rubber for currently. Help Britain out a bit. Okay, we've got Lee Grant. Okay, a little bit of history on. We're gonna convert. Well, yeah, we're gonna convert over. The names were given actually by the British. The U.S. did sort of adopt the names, but the U.S. likes to do the M whatever for names, and only reluctantly over time adopted, and now it's sort of common practice, the M1 Abrams, the M2 Bradley, or whatever it might be. Those sort of the British. And the British, the early model was the Lee, which is basically the American model of this tank. This tank was designed to meet the British needs. They were facing heavier and heavier German armor. They needed a 75mm gun on a tank to be able to effectively do it. The 37mm gun on the Stuart versus the M3 Lee's 37mm gun, basically the same gun. I don't, maybe even exactly the same gun, but they shot the same projectiles, and that would penetrate sort of early Panzer III type armor, but not the heavier and heavier stuff, and they knew it was going to continue to get heavier, so they wanted to go to a 75mm gun, and they wanted from the Americans to produce it for them, because it was still not too sure, especially, I mean, this mostly happened after the fall of France, but when and if the U.S. was going to get into it. Well, the U.S. literally did not have any casting facilities in the United States to be able to build a turret big enough, and they were going to go with a cast turret instead of a welded one or a riveted one, big enough to hold a 75mm gun. Just didn't have that capability right then. Not that we couldn't, we the United States couldn't work our way up there, you just didn't have it at that moment. The Lee's turret is almost as big as the Sherman's, but not quite. In the turret ring is what I'm talking about, in the turret ring. And it could comfortably hold the 37mm gun, and they realized the necessity from the old FT-17 and onwards of having a rotating turret and not have your main tank with a fixed gun in front of it. So they did the dual operating system for it. So you had the fast response, relatively speaking, of the turret and the heavier 75mm gun. The U.S. was still learning about 75mm guns and ammunition at the time. So they came up with this. The British got some. They sort of kind of liked them and knew it wasn't a final solution, but to temporary one, and the British named it after General Lee. Well, this was a very, very tall tank. The upper deck of the Lee here is maybe a little shorter than the top of a Panzer III or Panzer IV, but not by much. And then you have a whole nother turret on it, plus you have another turret on top of that, because the Americans liked machine guns, and so they had a little turret machine gun, a commander's cupola up there with a machine gun mounted in it. So it was really a high profile vehicle, and the British weren't terribly pleased by it. Plus the Americans had mounted the radio down in the hull, which was sort of quite common for the Americans to want to do, and they had a radio operator, which also was a sort of semi-fixed, mounted some machine guns in the hull that couldn't go back and forth, just up and down, and the driver had to aim them, so it was sort of a silly thing. But they set that up there and had him as a radio operator. Well, the British wanted the commander to be a radio operator and not an auxiliary machine gunner, so they ordered some changes to the tank. One was a extended out the back, sort of a bustle, but inside the turret. So it was a cast elongated turret that had the radio up in the turret so that the commander could operate the radio and remove this cupola. Still had the rotating ring was left in there, and they put a periscope vision block so the commander, if he wanted to stay under armor, could swing around and look at things. So the commander operated the radio, could look at things, and that's all he did. He just looked at things and operated the radio and told people what to do. He no longer had a machine gun. There was a machine gun coaxially mounted in the turret, and it was a big enough turret, so it was a 3-man turret. So that's, it's quite a big, for a turret like that. It's a 3-man turret, so you still had the gunner and loader operating up there. With the Americans, it was a 7-man vehicle. With the British, it was a 6-man vehicle, because they got rid of the lower radio operator. British did. They still had the driver, gunner for the 75, and a loader for the 75 as well. So they lowered the profile, extended the rear of the turret out there with the radio, and that they renamed the Grant to distinguish them from the Lees. The U.S. continued to use the Lees, I think mostly through their career, and they used the British continued to use the Grants as well through most of the war. I mean, they used up whatever Lees that they had gotten, and they used them out to the end of the war. Mostly in places like Burma and facing the Japanese, because it was quite effective, and the Japanese anti-tank guns were very limited in their guns were very poor, and they kept the basic hull in production throughout the war, because they converted it over to the I guess the M3 Priest, which is the 105 millimeter howitzer mounted in here. Priest is the side of a pulpit-like thing up front for the commander machine gunner. So for the SP American guns was basically a conversion of the Lee. Just to give you a bit of the history there of the vehicle. So we're going to convert over to that. I may restart up some Stuart production, but I want to get these guys in going production right away. Finland accepts Soviet demands. Okay, so no winter war this time. Belgium has capitulated. And they've broken through the Maginot Line already here. Okay, we have the Dauntless. U.S. aircraft, to me, I want to say they're very effective aircraft, but they just don't look very sexy. Okay, the P-40 Warhawk does. I mean, some models do, and the Mustang does, yes, but all these, the Dauntlesses, well, Lightning does too, but a bunch of these other models, the Avengers, they just don't have that style that some of the British and German planes sort of did in the sort of sexy look of the aircraft. Okay, just opinions. I don't want to knock their effectiveness because I know they were quite effective. Okay, we're going to go over with improved artillery. Luxembourg has finally capitulated. Wow. Lasted longer than Belgium and Holland. I guess my limited lend-lease to France isn't doing all that much good for them. Let's see what we can do to improve the P-40. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Keep hitting the wrong spot. Or to hit here is actually what I wanted to do. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, that looks good. And what we want to do here is, as you'll see, we're going to go from the standard to the Mark 1. So only... Oh no, here. Oh, did I... It was still here. And then cancel this. Yes, no. Just a minor, negligible amount of disruption to production. Which is as it should be. We just want to finish out building that one last Yorktown class. Okay, we're going to take this opportunity to end the episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Do appreciate it. Please post comments, questions, suggestions. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.